Welcome to the Drama Queen Perspective, a podcast designed to empower, inspire, educate, and entertain. Drama Queen is a philanthropist, educator, business owner, poet, and performer. So you know you will be entertained. Find out what's trending. Get a thumbs up or thumbs down on the hottest restaurants, places, and things. And find out ways to help your business grow. And much, much more. Without further ado, here is your host, Drama Queen.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Drama Queen, and finished talking about episode 1 of season 6 of 60 Days In, which I was a participant in. Not gonna make this a long video, but these are 5 things that I just want to recap that happened, that a lot of these things made me almost like tap out during training when I found out these things. And then it's funny watching it the first time and then rewatching the episode was kind of emotional, because I was sitting there thinking, like, when I'm hearing some of these statistics that I'm getting ready to go over with you, I'm like, why in the hell did I hear that? You got to be some kind of crazy to volunteer to go to jail. I'm just going to say that. So you got to have some kind of crazy to do that. You got to have some compassion as well, but you got to have some kind of crazy. But then you have the fact that I learned these statistics and I still made the conscious decision to volunteer to go to jail. That's why no one can talk negative about any of the participants in season 6 for me, because they have said this was one of the worst jails, the hardest jails. It was a lot this season. There was a lot to contend with besides just the general fact of you're volunteering to go to jail. So let's talk about it. One of the things that surprised me during training, and I was like, do I really want to do this, is the fact that they found over 1 ton of contraband. I'm going to say that again. 1 ton of contraband. Like, when was the last time that you had people that weren't blind do a check in this facility, that when this new sheriff comes in, he finds over 1 ton of contraband? And if it's over 1 ton of contraband that's been found, I guarantee you there's contraband that has not been found. Again, no matter how I feel about my portrayal by the production company, I am still glad that I was a participant and was able to help bring awareness to a jail that needed our help. Over 1 ton of contraband. All right, that's recap number 1. This next recap really hits home for me. I don't remember the specific numbers of when I break down the female pod, but I'll be kind of close. There was a point where, and I have my notes, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. The jail was made to hold 865 inmates, and their current count was 1,000. I'm going to say that again. The jail was made to hold 865 inmates, and the current count was over 1,000. The reason that this hits home for me especially is because there was only 1 pod for women, and I talked about this in another video. There's only 1 pod for women. So we were over capacity a lot of the times. And then to think about the fact that we're over capacity, and I talk about this in one of the videos that A&E did when I was doing my exit video and talking about different things with the sheriff and with the chief, is we had 6 showers and only 3 of them worked. I think that the pod was made to hold maybe right around 105 women, right around there, give or take, because it's been a couple years. I think at our highest capacity, we had about 130, 140 women. So there's a video that A&E has out where it's 3 of us in my pod. So there were times when we had to have 3 women in one pod that was meant to only house 2 women. So you wonder why, A, you have so many issues in the women's pod. It's overpopulated. If the entire jail was overpopulated, hello, I'm speaking something here. If the entire jail was overpopulated and when I was there was only one pod for the women, you know that there were times that we were overpopulated. Hence the anger, hence the violence, hence the arguments, hence the fights. The jail was made to hold 865 inmates. And at the time, the jail had 1,000 inmates. Problem. Recap number 3. When the sheriff came in, there were over 212 broken locks. Kinda thought the point of being locked up was to be locked up and have your every move dictated by the jail, and you don't have the freedom to walk and use the restroom, shower, eat when you want to. Not the case at Etowah County Detention Center. This would have been enough. And I don't care what anybody says. We always think we know what we can do until we're in a situation and we're faced there. I've been guilty of it myself. I was guilty of it watching 60 Days In. I was guilty of it being a fan of Family Feud and then being a contestant and being on the stage, and you have the audience and you have the lights and you have Steve Harvey and you have this and you have that, and you don't react the way that you think that you would react. So I say all of that to say a lot of y'all, when y'all would have heard that it was 212 broken locks and there were still some units that had broken locks and there were still some, not units, but doors in the units that had broken locks, a lot of y'all wouldn't even have the opportunity to give the signal because you wouldn't even went into the facility like, wait, y'all found a ton of contraband. You're overpopulated by about 130 inmates, and now you want to tell me that there's 212 broken locks and the inmates have been dealing with this for God knows how long? That's the issue. Again, another reason why I am happy to have been a participant on season 6 of 60 Days In to bring awareness and change to Etowah County Detention Center. 2 more things to discuss. Matt said that his intake was 9 hours. I think that would have driven anyone insane. Before I went into the actual jail, after training, it was about a week before I went to jail. And I will tell you, the mental of not knowing when it's going to happen, you know, what time of day it's going to happen, all of that, it weighs hard on you. It's just like, oh my God, when is it going to happen? Oh my God, what? I'm just sick. I just want to know. I want to get it over with. I want to start. I want to finish. I want to go back home to my babies. The longer I'm not in jail, the longer I'm going to have to be in jail, and I'm going to have to be away from my family and my dogs. That drives you crazy. So I cannot imagine sitting in intake for 9 hours. That would be difficult. My intake process was probably, I didn't have a watch. I think I may have glanced at a clock a time or two. I'm going to say my intake process was probably between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I was okay with that. It didn't drive me crazy. It was just enough time for me to try to calm myself down before I had the opportunity to walk into the pod and be introduced to all these women that I read about before I went in and read about their crimes. So I can see how 9 hours of intake can make somebody go crazy. The last recap that I want to talk about for episode 1 of 60 Days In Season 6 is Jacob being nervous and having the multiple anxiety attacks while he was in intake. Even though they made it very clear that the intake is one place that you cannot give the signal that they cannot get you out of. When you suffer from anxiety, I've had anxiety a little bit off and on in my life, but dealing with Graves' disease since 2020, it's not nothing to play with. That anxiety is something that can make a strong person kind of go back into their childhood days where they just cowered and they're like, they don't know what to do because their anxiety is so strong and the lack of control is so strong. And so although initially I'm like, what you wasted the space. What the hell? But I get it. This is why we cannot judge people when you haven't been through certain situations and circumstances. Since having that thought, I've dealt with severe anxiety with Graves' disease. I've dealt with the heart palpitations. I've dealt with the sweating. It is not a joke. And if Jacob felt like he was going to put himself in an unsafe situation because he's already dealing with anxiety now in the holding cell, when you're dealing with anxiety, you're not at your best. You're not at 100%. So it's probably not a popular opinion, but like I said, anybody that will volunteer to go to jail, period, but especially Etowah County Detention Center where there was 1 ton contraband found, where the inmate count was supposed to be 865 and their current count was 1,000, where there were 212 broken locks. Anybody that could hear that information in training and still be willing to even attempt to try to go into jail and make a change, you can't say anything bad about them to me. You can't. So that's Drama Queen's little recap and wrap up of episode 1. Make sure that you subscribe and you hit that bell below because next we're diving into episode 2. See you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Drama Queen Perspective. Be sure to like and subscribe this podcast and share with the drama queens in your life. Until next time, this has been the Drama Queen Perspective.